Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Today we are going to take a look at sidewall tire gluers. Look like this or this. For those who don't know them yet, these are mechanical tools that help you apply super glue evenly to the tire sidewall to prevent something called traction roll. You can actually buy these tools fairly cheap nowadays. But honestly, today we are just going to build one ourselves. And the best part? It costs less than $10. It's super easy to build and it works really well. Let's get started. Before we start, we need an important component, a servo. First, remove the 4 screws on the bottom. This allows us to open and take apart the servo. And don't worry, you don't need to buy an expensive one. A very cheap servo will work perfectly fine. I bought this one on eBay. It cost about $4.50. For this project, a cheap servo like this is more than enough. Once the servo is open, you can carefully pull out the entire circuit board. You may need to use a little force. You will see that the board is still connected to the motor with 2 red wires. For us, the only important cable is the one that goes to the receiver. Later, we will solder this cable directly to the motor. Now we open the top cover so we can access the large brass-colored gear. Let me show you this more clearly. First, simply remove the middle gear. After that, you can also take out the main gear. Inside the gear, you will find a small pin. You can remove it with a pair of pliers. Sometimes it comes out easily and sometimes it is a bit more stubborn. Once the pin is removed, we can start reassembling the servo. To do this, simply follow the steps in reverse. First, insert the brass-colored gear. Then place the silver gear back in position. After that, you can close the top part of the housing again. Now, turn the servo over and cut the 2 red wires. Next, we cut off the receiver cable. From this cable, we only need the positive and negative wires. In this case, the yellow wire is not needed. You can separate it from the other 2 wires and cut it off at both ends. Once you reach this step, the next thing we need is a soldering iron. Here we desolder the 2 red wires from the motor. Be careful, the wires are short and the soldering iron is very hot. So make sure you don't burn yourself. After removing the remaining wires, you can add a little solder to the motor contacts. This gives us a better surface to attach the new wires. Now take the receiver cable. First, tin the ends of the wires so the connections will be easier to solder. Now we can solder the wires to the motor. The rotation direction does not really matter. But as a habit, I usually connect the positive wire to the motor's negative terminal. Again, be careful when soldering the wires to the motor. The wires are short and have a small diameter, so make sure they don't overheat. And be careful not to burn your fingers. Now it should look like this, and we can place the small rubber piece back in the correct position so we can close the bottom cover. Then tighten the 4 screws again, just hand tight. For this, I like to use my favorite micro cordless screwdriver. It's perfect for small jobs like this. Now we can test the servo. I simply strip the ends of the wires and connect the positive and negative wires to a 1.5 volt AA battery. Ideally, the motor should start turning. And there you go, it works! When you buy a servo, it usually comes with a small bag of accessories, including servo horns. And that's exactly what we need now. The servo horn will act as the connection between our 3D printed wheel hub and the servo. This ensures that everything runs smoothly and stays properly centered. Here you can see the printed hub plate. There is a hole in the center which allows us to mount the servo horn exactly in the middle using a screw. This ensures perfect alignment, smooth rotation and a precise fit on the servo spline. Next, we glue the servo horn onto the wheel hub plate. I recommend using a strong adhesive. I'm using a 2-part epoxy here and letting it cure properly. Alternatively, a good quality super glue will also work just fine. Now let's take a closer look at the base plate. Here you can see 2 compartments. The lower compartment is for the battery and the upper one is for the servo. The servo fits neatly into this slot. The compartment is designed for the common standard size, so you can use both regular servos and low-profile servos. You can secure the servo using double-sided tape, super glue, or, like I prefer, a 2-part epoxy. In fact, this step is not absolutely necessary. You could also just place the servo inside without fixing it. However, securing it gives everything a better hold and makes the whole build look a bit cleaner and more professional. We're not trying to win a design award here, but it's always nice when things look neat. Now we'll let the glue set for a moment and then we'll continue. Once the glue has cured, we can remove the screw from the servo horn again and take care of the cable lengths. The whole setup is intentionally kept simple, so you can get everything running without much effort. I adjust the cable length depending on what I need and how I want to route the wires later. Next, the ends of the wires are stripped and tinned with a soldering iron. Of course, I do this for both the positive and the negative wire. You could also secure the wires to the base plate with a small amount of super glue. However, this is not really necessary. In the battery cover, there are 2 small notches on the left and right side. When the battery is inserted, these notches help keep the wires centered and in position. Now we are almost finished. First, we fix the wheel hub onto the servo. Then we mount the tire. Now all that's left is to insert the battery. And just like that, the wheel starts spinning at the perfect speed to create a clean and even glue line. Take a look at this. Perfect rotation and the ideal speed. It's exactly what we need to create a clean and reliable glue line. The whole project costs less than $10, and as always, you can download all the 3D printing files from me for free. And honestly, it doesn't look bad at all either. So, what do you think? I believe this is something you can definitely work with. As I said, if you're looking for something that wins a design award, you can always buy a professional product. But if you're doing this hobby just for fun and need a sidewall tire gluer, this is a very affordable way to build one yourself. Of course, this assumes that you have access to a 3D printer or know someone who has one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave a like or subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the track.